Good morning, Year 6. Today is the 8th of July, and I trust you all had an amazing sports day. Hope you enjoyed it and enjoyed getting active and moving around. Hopefully, we can find some time to make sure we're doing that every day throughout the summer and for the remaining few weeks of Year 6. So, for today's lesson, we're going to be looking at bartering, and hopefully, by the end of the lesson, you'll understand what bartering is. And you will need a pencil, a paper, and as always, you'll need your thinking hats. Check. So what did people do before money was invented? I just want you to pause the video here and talk to somebody in your home about what you think people did before money was invented. Before money, people used to barter. Barter is when people exchange or swap things without using money. So they might exchange goods, physical things that we can actually hold, or services, meaning that it would offer to do something in exchange for an item. Now, I want you to think about a creative story, short story about a world where all of a sudden money magically disappeared. I want you to think about how people would have bought things, even amongst themselves in their own communities, and how everyday living would have worked in this world. So before the introduction of money, communities would trade between themselves to secure different goods. Over time, barter was then replaced by coins and banknotes, as it just seemed easier to use these to buy goods and services. But even today, barter is still used in certain circumstances, especially in difficult times such as a war or a natural disaster. Sometimes a country's currency, hopefully you remember that word from yesterday, the money used in that country, becomes almost worthless. People might then barter using gold or food instead because they keep their value. The word bartering is also sometimes used to describe arguing over the price of something, particularly in a market or when buying things from people rather than a shop. So an item could cost £30, but you might think, this is worth less. So you offer the seller £20. Then eventually you compromise and you might meet in the middle and pay £25. I remember on a trip to Morocco and I went to Agadir. And in Agadir, when I first arrived, I assumed everything had a fixed price. And then I came to realise that they actually expect you, and often in markets especially, they might expect you to barter. So name your price and then they'll come back with their price. So bartering is still used around the world, especially when you go to different parts of the world, you'll see it's used more commonly. Bartering can mean that something costs different people a different amount. So if you were swapping things with a friend, your bike might be valuable to you, and you would only swap it for something that you think is equally as valuable. So it costs just as much. But if your friend has already got a bike, then they probably just don't want to. So to them, your bike isn't very valuable at all. They'll want something that they don't have. Now think about Stone Age communities in Great Britain. What goods would they have used for barter? What do you think would have had a high value? So I'm going to put on the screen some of the things that they might have possessed during Stone Age Britain. Think about what they might have used for barter and which of those you think might have had a high value. Super. So more than likely they would have used food in their bartering or tools as part of their bartering process. However, they might have used a number of other items as well, such as clothes or jewellery. Between 2005 and 2006, there was a Canadian man named Kyle MacDonald who swapped a red paperclip for a house. Now, here's how he did it. If you want to take any tips down, feel free. So, Kyle started with a red paperclip. He posted it online and he bartered with people over what he could swap it for. On July the 14th, 2005, he went to Vancouver and he traded that lovely red paperclip for a fish-shaped pen. Then he traded the pen, the same day for a hand-sculpted doorknob from Seattle, Washington. On July the 25th, 2005, he traveled to Massachusetts with a friend to trade the doorknob for a camp stove. But he wasn't happy with just that, so he went to California and traded the camp stove for a Honda generator. He traded the Honda generator for an instant party. Then he traded that for a radio and TV star snowmobile. Then he traded that for flights for 2 people from anywhere in North America to Cranbrook, a day of skiing, meals, and a snowmobile trip to Yup. But then he traded one of those seats on that trip for a large van. He then traded that van or truck for a recording contract with Metalworks. Then he traded the contract to Jody Nat for a year's rent in Arizona. So he got a year's free rent. Then he traded the year's rent for one afternoon with Alice Cooper, shown on screen. He traded that for a Kiss Motoro's snow globe. And then he traded the snow globe for a role in a film. And finally, he traded the movie role for a 2-story farmhouse in Kipling. Wow. So much trading, so much bartering he had to do in order to get a house. But let's not forget what he started with. He started with a red paperclip. So have a look in your home, see if you can find a paperclip. Look at that paperclip. Imagine what you could trade that for. Now, your task is to choose 2 of the swaps that Carl McDonald made. One that you think was a good swap, and one you think was a very bad swap. And I want you to create a poster showing the swaps and explaining why you think they were good or bad. As an extension, I want you to think about your own possessions at home. What do you think you'd be able to swap for a pen? Do you have anything you think you could swap for a house or a car? If you started with a red paperclip and could swap it like Kyle did, what would be your aim and why? We'd love to see all of your work and see all of your aspirations. So remember to email us your work at yr6@grange.harrow.sch.uk. Have a great day, Year 6.